Hey, what's up, guys? My name is AJ. Welcome to our first ever podcast show of 2020. And I'm here with one of my great friends, someone who I consider not really, but kind of slightly my arch enemy when it comes when we're playing. I used to say that all the time.
It's been a few years.
It's been a long time. It's been a really long time since we played. But this is Dan Sahm. He is the head men's coach at Purdue University, a powerhouse MCLA school. Mm-hmm. Being a former MCLA guy myself, we played you guys my freshman year. We talked a little bit about that beforehand. And we just got absolutely trashed.
Well, it was a brand new team and everything, and we had a good freshman class coming in. Me not playing so much, but I wish had I known you beforehand, I wish I had known that I would have actually tried defending you.
Yeah, well, I'll be completely honest. I didn't even play because I went to Franklin Central. I'm a South Sider. We didn't have lacrosse. Mm-hmm. I was walking around Dick's Sporting Goods, and I was playing around with a stick with a buddy, and I mentioned it to a family friend who bought me a stick for my birthday. Oh. I brought it with me to college. Mm-hmm. The floor that I lived on had a lot of lacrosse guys on it, and they're like, come out to practice. And so I showed up, and I was like, nope. I saw some of the guys. They were big guys, and I was like, nope, because I was a soccer guy. Like, he didn't.
Right.
No. And then I got convinced to play, and so my freshman year, my first game watching was Butler and Purdue and Miami of Ohio and some of those bigger Midwestern schools. But, so tell me a little bit about where did you grow up, what school, what did you play in high school? Tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
So I am from Indianapolis. I went to high school at Bishop Chatard. Okay. So while I was there, I played football. I was trying to focus more on football there because, Chatard football, they always try to win the state championships and everything, which they did win one this year, so that's nice to see. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get started playing lacrosse until my sophomore year of high school. So I just got done playing football and basketball my freshman year, and I played center freshman year. Me only being 6 foot is not exactly going to work out playing center throughout the rest of high school. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, I may try something else, and then I thought maybe track and field I want to do to be able to build up some speed. But then one of the football families and some other friends of mine, they told me, hey, why don't you try to play lacrosse? And so didn't know much about it. My family, my parents did buy my brothers and I. They bought us some sticks. We didn't know much about it, but whenever we played, we put trash cans in the back of the yard. Yeah. And so we just try to I think we took a tennis ball, and then we just 2-on-2 going against each other, put the ball in there. So that's how I kind of knew about it, not a whole lot. But then going into sophomore year, when I was introduced to it, I was like, okay, this is a lot more fun. Then I even was starting to do more wall ball. I got my own stick, and then my first coach, Pat Moorhead, he was good to have. He was really helped me out with growing throughout the year. Just starting out playing midi, he was teaching me the game as much as possible, and then it was a good experience, I'd say. And then he left, and then going on to play in junior and senior, I started playing LSM. So, and it was a brand new coaching staff, so getting to learn it more and more, trying to develop stick skills while still playing football as well during the fall. So just getting to learn the game as much as possible. I didn't really think that I would go on to play past high school, but then learning more about college, like college club lacrosse, I didn't know that Purdue had a team until I found it on their website. Mm-hmm. And so I filled out the recruiting form, talked to one of the guys on the team who gave me more information about it, and then I was kind of deciding between Purdue and IU, where I wanted to school, and then obviously stuck around with Purdue, and it was a great 4 years being there.
Yeah, and you guys did really well there.
Yeah, so freshman, junior, and senior year, we won the conference tournament. The sophomore year, we don't like talking about it. Yeah. That wasn't a very good year. But going through those 4 years, just unbelievable. Just getting to know my teammates, being able to hang out with them, practice with them, go to workouts with them. Honestly, I wouldn't have traded anything else for it.
Yeah. That's incredible. And that's one of those things that you don't necessarily realize club, when you think of a club sport, you think of just guys who get together and play every once in a while. But, I mean, even when I was at Taylor, we were doing those team workouts, we were doing all those things, I mean, it's not, just because you play a club sport doesn't mean you're a club.
Right.
And a lot of those guys, a lot of those club athletes have a mentality of a varsity sport, but you're just not backed by the school, and that's why you're a club opposed to varsity.
Yeah, so with club, you're paying most of it out of your own pocket. I mean, this university, so Purdue provides a little bit, but it's not a whole lot, which, I mean, any little bit can help at the same time, because clubs, you have to pay for travel, lodging, you have to pay your coaches, you got to pay league dues, conference dues, everything. Like, everything's out of your pocket, and it's what stinks about it, but at the same time, you're getting to play with all of your friends, and you're having a great time. It's a competitive league. The MCLA is nothing short of like, it's only a club league. No, it's not. It's a competitive league. There's a national championship involved. South Carolina just won it this past year, and they actually were featured. Their championship game, I think they had a couple of highlights in the top 10 that week, and so it's growing.
Yeah.
And I think that the MCLA and club lacrosse should definitely be focused on more and get more guys to be playing in it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that there's a little bit more recognition looking at it, especially when you looked at, I think the big example from a team that shifted from MCLA to the NCAA Division I is definitely University of Michigan. They've shown up, and now they're starting to compete with other schools. I mean, it took them time, but they were killing it at the MCLA level.
I think they won 3 national championships in a row.
Right.
And that was like before they made the switch to Division I, which, them beating Ohio State earlier this year, I was actually kind of excited about that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like there's a lot of quality talent, and I think we're starting to see a bigger push in kids who don't want to play Division I and have incredible skill. They're playing for the MCLA. I mean, you see incredible teams like Liberty. You see incredible teams like Michigan State. I mean, obviously Purdue. Obviously Purdue and IU, they have good teams. But a random team, Grand Canyon University. You see, I mean, this is a Division II team, but like St. Thomas or Grand Valley State. I played against a kid. He was an O midi, I was a D midi, and he played for the Canadian national team in the 2014. I think it was the 2014 World Games. And he scored a goal when that was the year that they won, and he scored a goal in that game. Wow. I remember him very vividly. I remember he tried to do 2 or 3 diving behind the back shots. I was not happy.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. No, that's as far as I'll go, but I have very strong feelings against him.
No need to say more.
So let's talk a little bit about your transition. Obviously, we graduated the same year. We even have the same number. But what was that transition like from going from a player at Purdue now coaching?
So it did take a couple of years. So I started at Noblesville High School, was the assistant coach there, and it was a good experience. And then Purdue, they had a couple of bad years on their plate, and so they had reached out to me and asked, hey, would you be interested in coaching us starting next year? Now, the thing about that was that I was kind of skeptical because these guys that were going to be seniors, I played with them when I was freshman.
Right, and that's a big issue.
Yes. So I told the president of the team, look, I'd be more than willing to do it, and he asked me this like at the beginning of the summer. So I told him, look, I'd be more than willing to do it for you, but unfortunately, I will only do it unless you guys can not find a legitimate coach that will come out to West Lafayette and coach you. So I told him that, and I also said it kind of bugs me a little bit that you guys that are seniors, like I played with you, and I don't want to be thinking like, yeah, I'm only here to joke around and everything. No, I'm actually here to get you guys back to the MCLA tournament.
Right. And
win your conference tournament as well, like we did when they were freshmen. And that was one of the main things I made the point to them. So he's like, okay, that's fine. So Summer goes through. I get a phone call in August, and he's saying, "Hey, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of luck. The candidates weren't very good. Would you be interested in it?" So I told him, "Why don't you and I meet the first Monday you guys are back, and we can talk about it a little bit more then?" Because I wanted to hash some things out on my end to make sure that he understood where it was I was coming from in order to become the coach. And so we met, he gave me all the details, we talked about it some more, and then after that, I had a meeting with the seniors. I wanted all the seniors together and to talk about me being their coach and to lay down I want to lay down some ground rules with them.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell them, look, I do want to be your guys' coach, but I don't want to be treated like your friend. I will be friendly, but I'm not going to be considered your friend. I'm going to be your coach. I'm here to help you guys out, and that is it. I don't want any other thing coming out of any of you guys' mouths about what it is or like us being together or anything like that. This is about us and the team. So, and the first year we went well. We had some things that we were all trying to get figured out. I was trying to go through a bit of a cultural change after the past couple of years.
I get that.
So trying to get guys to buy in more, which they did. It took them a little bit, especially going through fall ball. But then I think it started to get through to them how much they actually wanted to get back to there. Because at first the team didn't seem to have that much confidence in themselves to do it. But then as we started getting through more practices, we started playing games, and we felt more confident in ourselves that we could actually be a winning team. The first year last year it didn't start out the way that we wanted to. I think we went 1-4 to start out, and then we started winning more games. We beat Vanderbilt in our first game. We beat Illinois State. We beat Central Michigan, which was very big for them.
Nice.
Because they did not beat them their first year, or they didn't beat them the year before. They lost it by a 1-goal game against them. So beating them, that was big for us.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was beating IU, which the team has never done in the regular season in a very long time. And doing that, they were so confident in themselves. They started getting along better. They were all excited for practices and such. I got guys to buy in, but then winning that game against them, they came together even more than I'd seen the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then we won. Then we ended up winning against Illinois, and then beating Illinois State, IU, and Illinois. That helped us get the 1 seed on our side of the conference. So for the conference tournament, and then it was us, and then we ended up playing Minnesota in the conference tournament or in the conference championship. They have always been a very good program, and they beat us very badly. I'm not very happy about it, and I'm hoping that for this upcoming year, we have more guys that are going to be ready to play against them, and I hope, and my goal is to be more ready for them and get the team prepared.
How have you seen a change in yourself from going as a player to now coaching at it's Purdue, right? To be completely honest, yes, you are MCLA, but when you go, when people see your patch and say Purdue men's lacrosse, right, that's still very prestigious. How has your mindset changed from being a player to now coaching and trying to compete? And, it's a big jump.
So the main thing for me was to learn offense.
I get that. Yeah.
Because I did have somebody help me out last year with coaching, but he ended up having to get a job where he couldn't help me out anymore. So that restricted me a little bit. And then I was having to learn a lot of this on my own, trying to help the guys out, make sure they knew what was going on. So the main thing was just trying to build my IQ as much as possible. And I'm still currently trying to do that, which I'm sure a lot of people are still trying to build on their IQ. But in regards to what you're asking, I think it's just more of a maturity thing, I think. So, I'm a few years out of school now. I'm trying to get these guys back to the national tournament, like I experienced the time from my time at Purdue. But I'm just trying to become more of a leader for these guys and let them know, like, hey, look, I'm not the one that's going to be helping you guys out there.
Yeah.
It's you guys, and what I'm trying to do is help pass what I've learned from my time at Purdue onto them.
Yeah.
So it's just more of a maturity thing. Make sure that I don't say anything that's just too much for the team, or say anything that I shouldn't be saying. Things like that, you know.
Got it.
Yeah. So, sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So that's just kind of what I was getting at, was just making sure that I act more mature, because throughout like first couple years kind of bad, but then picking it up junior senior year, and then taking what I learned from that, and then helping the players out.
No, I get that, and I feel
sorry if I'm repeating myself.
No, you're good. I feel like I am in a very similar position. I mean, I'm coaching at high school. It's not the same. I feel like my heart, if I was to go back to Taylor and coach, like I do have a very strong desire to go back to Taylor, and at some point in my career, I will. It's just in the timing. I feel like as a coach, you, especially going from a player then to a coach, that maturity level, it drastically changes. And if I was to go back and play now, because I was telling you again, I'm considering playing, trying to find more competitive box leagues, or if there was a competitive like men's outdoor league. Like I love outdoor. I'm not bashing box at all. I just love to run, and I love the outdoor game. That's what I fell in love with first.
Well, if you don't have enough guys and you're playing box, just stay on the floor, run back and forth.
Exactly. Yeah. But I do want to get back into that competitive scene. But I feel like I remember my junior year of college playing Western Michigan. I was working my tail off, and I remember my coach pulling me off, and I wasn't having a bad game. I scored the first goal of the game. Like, I totally threw Western Michigan off. Like, they walked into this like as a cakewalk, and here I was in the first 10 minutes scoring. And I remember my coach pulled me off, grabbed my face mask, got in my face, and was like, "You need to stop trying so hard and start playing smarter." And it took me back. I'm like, "Don't you want me to work hard for you?" But thinking about it now, you can be way more effective as a more intellectual player. And I'm starting to see that with my own boys, right? I see boys who are working their tails off and will run up and down and up and down and up and down. I'm like, yes, that helps, but it could be a better help. But I think you get that help from coaching. You get that maturity from coaching. And so that's why, I try to get as many as my kids to coach younger kids, to try to at least get that a little bit.
Yeah, and even when I was at Noblesville, it took me a little bit to get comfortable with the coaching aspect, because always seeing all the Noblesville kids out there, I wanted to be out there with them. Yeah. And it was very hard for me. I did go out to the practice a few times and put gear on, but thinking more and more about it, I'm just like, this shouldn't be me. I shouldn't be playing. I should be coaching them and showing them what to do instead. And then that's part of the maturity thing. Like, I shouldn't be playing. And it took me a little bit to figure that out. Yeah. And so in getting them to learn the maturity as well, like you're saying, I mean, Noblesville Lacrosse, they have the Noblesville Youth Clinics and things like that. Yeah. Personally, I was never able to make it to that because of my job that I have. So it was difficult for me to be able to learn more from coaching these kids as well. I did coach, and I think this, the whole going into freshman sophomore thing with trying to build my maturity was after my sophomore year, I started coaching my first summer of youth lacrosse, and I think that's when I started to build more of my maturity from actually coaching these kids and helping them out. So I get it. I completely agree with you. And then trying to be smarter and coaching these kids will definitely help make you smarter players. Yeah. And unfortunately, up in West Lafayette, there isn't really anything. Yeah. And you've got guys that want to be able to help out some of these youth kids, but at the same time, they have classes, they have meetings, they have exams, and the Tippecanoe Lacrosse Association, they did used to have their practices on Purdue's campus, and I thought that was what the plan was going to be for the year. And one of my assistant coaches, he helps out with Tippecanoe Lacrosse Association as well, so he thought that as well. But it wasn't until 2 weeks ago that we found out that they're not going to be there. And I told my guys, hey, look, we think that they have practices here at this time. Please try to get there as soon as you can, or to help these kids out. But come to find out, not even happening.
Yeah, that's
So.
rough, and that's such a struggle too.
Mm.
I think we see that across the board. As far as like not necessarily central Indiana, but like the outreach, or I guess I should more or less say the north side of Indianapolis. But I mean, we see here on the south side, we're struggling to get numbers, and that's not just. I mean, there's pockets. Center Grove is growing big, but from what I've heard, Whiteland, Southport, Perry, and Roncalli are struggling to get just the numbers that they need. And so I'm sure it's the same thing. You look at anywhere. I'm sure you look at. I'm sure Evansville's got a strong. Evansville's strong, but I don't know what their numbers look like. Or even I'm sure you look at Fort Wayne or Lafayette. Like I'm sure that they're struggling. We just got to figure out how to really bring it all together.
I mean, and maybe holding like a youth clinic for kids. Like you get a bunch of sticks together and have kids come out and play. Like say, hey, look, we're doing this. Why don't you get some kids out to come learn the sport? And
right.
I mean, it's difficult to do, which I can understand that, like the marketing and letting everybody know about it.
Yeah.
That's definitely a part of it. But just putting a stick in a kid's hand is
right.
They'll hold on to that forever. I mean, you hear any other professional players like how they did that.
Yeah.
Somebody gave them a stick. They fell in love with it.
Right. Well, that's the same thing that happened to you. Same thing that happened to me. You talk to any lacrosse player out there, it's someone gave them a stick, and they fell in love with it. What's your recruiting process look like now? We talked about it a little earlier. So tell me a little bit about that process and what, if there's potential kids who are watching this and they want to play, what do they need to do? What should they be expecting? Because there's obviously a difference between club and a varsity team.
Right. Scholarships.
Yeah.
So the thing about that we're trying to do with our recruiting, so we try to reach out to players and coaches, then the coaches will let us know like about players that are planning on going to Purdue. So I mean, we can try to tell kids about Purdue lacrosse, but they'll be like, "Do you guys have a lacrosse team?" Like some of them don't even know about it.
Yeah.
So we like to reach out, and some of them will even reach out to us. On our website, we have a recruiting page where they can fill everything out. That goes directly to our recruiting officers, and then one of them will reach out and say, "Hey, thank you for reaching out to us. We hope that we can communicate with you a little bit more about this," and so on and so forth. So that's one way to do it. The other way is that we're reaching out to more coaches, and we're trying to find out, hey, which kids are planning on coming to Purdue. Or the early acceptance just came around. It was January 15th where kids found out that they got accepted to Purdue or not. Obviously, they have time to make their decision, so not going to pressure them and say, hey, you have to make a decision right now or else we don't want you on the team. No, we want kids that are actually like excited and wanting to come to Purdue and are trying to get excited for Purdue lacrosse. And we want to get kids excited about it. I mean, obviously, our team has been posting more about the helmets.
Yeah.
We just got new jerseys this year where a lot of people seem to be enjoying them.
Yeah.
So, and we're just trying to get guys more excited about becoming a part of a team.
Yeah.
And what the way I see it is not just becoming part of a team, but becoming part of a family. Because I want the kids to experience it and think of it as much as I did. Because if I didn't play lacrosse at Purdue, I don't know what I would have done while I was there.
Yeah.
Didn't really want to join a fraternity. That's fine. I wanted to play, and that's all I wanted to do, and go to school.
Yeah.
So, obviously, go to school. That's always what I tell the guys. The main thing that you're trying to do is get your grades in and just stay on top of your classes.
Yeah.
So, that's the main thing that I always try to tell everybody. So, you focus on your grades, you stay on top of it, things with your family. So, and then you come to practice after that. So, it's the order actually is family, school, lacrosse. That's what I always tell everybody.
Yeah.
So, if you have a family issue, don't worry about missing practice, or if you're gone for a weekend to be with your family during game weekend, that's not a big deal. I'm okay with it. If you have schoolwork that you have to get done or you have exams, that's fine. Just communicate with me and let me know, and you guys are okay to be missing practices. And then it's just a matter of trying to get everybody involved and trying to become like a tight-knit group, And last year it took a little bit, like I said earlier, took a little bit to get everybody on the same page, but then we really picked it up later on. And with this new class, what we did this year that's actually different from what we've done in the past in regards to recruiting is we had a big group of kids that said that they were committed to playing. One of our officers, he actually got a group me message together with all of these kids. And so they all were talking, they were communicating with each other. We even told them, if you don't have a roommate and you want to go and you want to try to room with one of these guys, then try to schedule that. And we just trying to get more kids talking amongst each other, getting excited about being a part of this team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, tell me real quick, kind of in closing, so I have 2 more questions left. What's the difference between the experience that a kid would get at a varsity program versus a club program?
So with varsity, so NCAA, D1, D2, and D3, so what you'll be getting out of that is that, I mean, it's a much more strenuous schedule. It can be very aggressive from what I've heard from people in the past, because you'll have your workouts, all your meetings, your classes, your practices, and from what I've heard from other players is that it's very tough. Like, I've heard a bunch of kids that have gone to Division I, and one of my players last year, actually, he went to Detroit Mercy, and then he ended up leaving because he didn't like the schedule at all. It was very strenuous. It was very difficult, and so he was just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And he's not the only one. I've heard of a bunch of kids that have done that, and so it's just very, very competitive. Because then you also got to think about how there's always that next class, and if you have a good recruiting class coming in, what does that mean for your position, you know? And so the same way can be for Division II and Division III. Division II is pretty similar to Division I. I think Division III is a little less, but it also depends on the program that you're with as well. So if you're with one of you're with the Salisburys, the Stevensons, the Lynchburgs, and all of them, if you're playing for them, obviously it's going to be a very competitive schedule that you're going to have. And it's just a matter of staying on top of your classes and going and getting everything done. And then with club lacrosse, it's not as bad. So the way I have it is that we have 3 practices a week, and I will have guys we'll try to get a film session in as well. Actually, we have 4 practices a week right now, 3 practices in the fall. And then I'll try to get a film session in with everybody. But I always tell them, if you can't make it because you have a group meeting, exam, class, or anything like that that's in the way, don't worry about it. You guys will learn more about it, and if you have questions about what it is that we learned, don't be afraid to ask. Let me know, and then I will walk you through it. Like, we have a film session tomorrow night to talk about some things for the upcoming season, like clearing your writing concepts, offensive concepts, things like that. And then I always tell the guys for workouts, I mean, I can't watch them or tell them when they need to go. We don't have the luxury of all getting together all at once to be able to get a workout in. So I tell the guys, find time on your own to be able to get a workout in, or find time on your own to hit wall ball. So it's kind of that aspect of having more flexibility within your own schedule compared to being a part of a varsity program and your schedule is practically set for you.
I get that. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what's your schedule look like this year, and who are some of the top teams that you're going to be playing?
So not this weekend, but next weekend we're scrimmaging DePaul and Louisville, both at DePaul. The Louisville will be coming to play us there, and then they'll be playing DePaul there as well. So just to give us a feel and see how we're doing. And then in a couple weekends after that, so February 22nd, we are going to Auburn, Alabama, and we're playing the University of Florida that Saturday.
Oh, nice.
And then we're playing Auburn on Sunday. And it's actually funny because I met Florida's head coach last weekend. This past weekend. We met at the Notre Dame Coaches Clinic, and actually he told me that a lot of what they have to do for their club is very similar to what we do. But obviously it's warmer there.
Right.
And so we play in Florida and Auburn. And then after that we play Pittsburgh and Miami of Ohio. Both of those we're actually playing all of our most of our home games at Guerin High School.
Okay.
So we've got Pittsburgh there. We have Miami of Ohio, which will be a conference opponent. We have Illinois State, and IU all playing at Guerin.
Okay.
And then we have a couple of home games up in South Bend against Western and Central Michigan. So that'll be a one-week indoor deal there. And then we're actually traveling down to Arkansas to play them. And we were supposed to play North Texas, but unfortunately their season folded. So now we're playing Missouri State.
Okay.
At least that's what the plan is. Nothing's been confirmed yet. And then after that and then after Illinois and Illinois State weekend, we play Michigan State and Grand Valley State. So that's going to be a tough weekend with
very much so.
how good those teams are.
Yep.
And then finish off the year against IU, and that I'm definitely looking forward to that game, especially after the win that we came up with last year against them.
Yeah, it's going to be a grudge match.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Purdue IU, but
and it'll be nice because it will be in Indy. And the plan that we're going to try to do is we want to try to get as many people to the Guerin games as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And Charlie Berry, Guerin's head coach, he's an IU guy, so you know him. He's going to try to get as many IU guys to come to it as well.
Sure.
So I'm definitely looking forward to this season, and I can tell that my guys are as well.
That's exciting. That's really exciting. Well, I'm super excited for you guys. Let me know if you can get me a copy of your schedule. I'll make sure to post all of them out there.
Everything's on all of our social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
And what are you guys at on all the social media? What's your handle? Is it just Purdue Lacrosse?
It's different. So like Twitter's Purdue Men's Lax, Instagram's like Purdue_lacrosse. So yeah, there's two differences between them.
But if we're looking on Instagram, it's Purdue_lacrosse.
Yes.
Okay. So guys, make sure you guys follow them. That's super exciting. I'm super excited to watch what you guys do. I'll definitely be watching. I know a handful of guys are on your team.
And one thing that we did do last year, which I think that the plan is this year, is we live streamed our games.
That's awesome.
So we definitely did that last year, and also helped us do our film as well. I think the plan is that we're still doing that, but I haven't confirmed anything with the officers or anyone else. So hopefully we can do that again this year.
Okay. Well, let me know, and I can post links and stuff like that as well to my audience too. So. Well, I appreciate it, Dan.
Yep.
It's always been great.
Oh, yeah.
Always great seeing you. I'm super...
At least we're not on the field this time, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, my body is thanking me for it. So, hey, thanks so much for being here. Guys, if you have any questions for Coach Sahm, if you're interested in playing at Purdue, all of his information will be in the link down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is AJ. My goal is to grow the sport of lacrosse in Indiana, and I can't do it without your help. So make sure you guys like this video, comment, subscribe. I think I said everything. All right, cool. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks, guys.